Hi there, it's Uncle Ron, and tonight we're going to talk a little bit about one of the most common questions that I get is uh, I want to get into streaming. How do I stream? The other one is where do I find the courts, pictures, and football fields that you use? Sportsreplays.net, okay? Sportsreplays.net. Okay, but back to the streaming thing. How do I get into it? What do I need to do? And how do I enjoy it? Well, let me give you the downside of it first. The first thing is that it will always take you considerably longer for you to stream or record a game than it will for you to actually play it, because you have to take the time to A, set up the game, B, talk about what you're doing while you're doing it, C, react to what's going on in front of you, and D, not look like an idiot when you're playing the game. And so I tend to say if you want to start doing this, that you stream things or record things that you know how to play, and so it's going to be old second hat for you. Tip number 2 I would give is get familiar with how streaming software works. There's OBS, which is free. I use XSplit, which you pay for. It gives you XSplit allows you to record, has integration with YouTube and Twitch, which is where I live stream, and record like this, so I can talk for a few minutes and then just go on and post the video right onto my YouTube page. It's the first thing I put up in a couple weeks on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of baseball games that have been transferred. I've got to actually do that. Learn how those work first. I wouldn't worry about at the start about spending any money onto this. I think that the key is for you to get used to A, the sound of your own voice, and B, how things are going to look. So I would personally start with computerized games, whether you want something using Excel, which may or may not be easy, or somewhere along the line of the Action PC line of games, or the Stratomatic PC, or OOTP for baseball is going to give you some pretty good visuals too. Stick with those. You don't even have to appear on camera. Just the sound of your voice. I would not just go through and let someone else talk, such as APA as the computer version of that, and Ernie Harwell for Baseball for Windows. I don't want to watch him call a game. There's plenty of Ernie Harwell stuff floating around online for a game. I want to know what your take is on it. So for an absolute beginner, that's what I would do. Pick something short that isn't going to burn you out. You got a favorite World Series, you got a favorite Super Bowl, you got a favorite NBA final or a player, or you like to do the what ifs. That for sports game streaming, that's where I would start. Something that you're going to know a lot about, that you're going to feel comfortable in showing to someone else, because in the end it's the game action that's going to be what people pay attention to. Yeah, you can tell stories and you can be good at doing that, but you start with you being comfortable presenting something. I can get into a little bit about how I present stuff, but as a beginner, that's what I would do. Find a short project, and for God's sakes, finish the project. If you're going to do a best of 7 series, you're going to do a best of 7 series. We're not going to stop after game 2 because you get bored and move on to something else. So don't bite off more than you can chew. You're going to have technical problems. Let's start with the basic ones. You're not going to like how your voice sounds. I don't like how my voice sounds. The voice I hear in my head is very different from the voice you actually see on the tape or on the YouTube. That's just because we all hear ourselves in a very different way. That's number 1. Number 2, you need to learn the settings of whatever software that you use. I would not recommend that you use StreamYard to do this, because the quality in StreamYard is great for just your face and stuff like that, but it does not do well for anything that needs to be read on the screen, such as games. That's pretty important that you know don't do that. I would learn OBS, learn how that's set, ask a lot of questions. Okay. Um, Once you get some games in the can, oh, by the way, I would not go live until you're absolutely ready to go live. Go back and tape. You can record. I think you can record on OBS. I know you can record on OBS. You may not be able to pause. And remember, a microphone is live whether you're live or not. So don't get all frustrated and drop F-bombs because you dropped a card on the floor or a die fell away or you hit a button and you're not sure what happened. You don't hear those people on TV swear up and down when they make a mistake. Learn that as well. So, like I said, short project to start. Worry more about the game action than your interaction with it. It's not even required that you be on camera. If you don't feel comfortable being on camera, don't go on camera. If you do feel comfortable on camera, and for me that's not that difficult, if I can do it with this body, you can too. There are options, and after the COVID crisis kind of subsides for a bit, you might be able to get a decent webcam. Don't use the webcam on your laptop. It is terrible. How do you pay $1,800 for a computer for a laptop that is, or for a camera that is absolutely horrible? Okay? Microphone, people have asked about that. I use a Yeti Blue. The microphone on my webcam, though, I think is actually halfway decent. And for a $15 solution, go to Amazon and buy a lav clip-on mic. Just attach it to your shirt. It'll stick with you. Yes, I'm talking to you. It'll stick with you. You can move around. You don't feel constrained to that. And you forget it's there. If you really want to get into halfway decent production, if you feel after 4 or 5 of these that this is something you want to do, then yeah, consider the USB mic. I've gotten a ton of mileage out of my Yeti. I love it. It's what we use for all my games here. It's what I'm using to record this and what we use for digital to dice. Dave also has a board. Dave Gardner has a board for that, so it makes it sound really sweet to do that. So good audio is important, but not necessarily essential from the get-go. I got my 2 lav mics for $15. Comes in a pouch, and you plug it into the headphone jack or the mic jack on the back of your computer. It's just easy peasy, and the sound is going to be okay. I'm going to caution you to stay away, for the most part, from cards and dice to start, because it's hard to play to make that look good. Remember, this is a visual medium. YouTube wants pictures. It's easy to do radio. I do radio play-by-play when I call a basketball game. There's a lot of radio even in the baseball stuff that I do. You can see it. You know it's a fly ball to left field. It's just part of having the fun of it all. You can do cards and dice, but you're going to notice after you start, if you get people to watch, period, that the time that they spent watching is going to be very short, 3, 4, 5 minutes tops. Someone clicks in, they're going to say, oh, 1956 World Series, okay, Yankees in Brooklyn. Okay, the first thing you're going to get is people upset because it's not the real clips of Vin Scully and Mel Allen, which I think only John Larson's Perfect Game exists from that series, and even that was a surprise. They want to see the real thing, so make sure you clearly label everything as a replay. Second, they're going to watch you be playing a game, a cards and dice game, and chances are, if you're showing something from behind you, you're not going to be able to read the cards very easily. People aren't going to necessarily know what game you're playing, whether it's Strat or APA. Baseball demos and Al, Red Sox fan, have gotten much better about having cards and dice where you can read and know what's going on. People are going to click in, they're going to watch for 30 seconds, they're not going to know what they're seeing, they're not going to know the score, and you've not given them a reason to care. And so they're not going to watch, and that's going to get very frustrating. People are going to leave comments, "You're a dork. You know that, Chuck? You're a dork." Well, I am a dork. My wife calls me that on a regular basis. So I don't worry about that. I want to keep the light on the computer so it keeps me evenly lit. That's the other reason why I suggest trying to do some sort of PC-based game. It gives the viewers something to notice, and they know what the score is and what the situation is. That's important. If you're not going to do live, and I don't recommend that you go live to start, people need to know what it is that they're watching, and then they may or may not stay longer. Okay? Once you get comfortable with that, and once you get comfortable, not everyone needs to have a golden set of pipes to call play-by-play or to tell stories. What needs to come across to the viewer outside of knowing what's going on is they want to get a sense from you that you care about what you're doing. That's another reason why you want to start with a shorter project. If you're going to go through and do what I do and do 5 or 6 games a week in a given season, it does kind of get tedious after a while. That's why we pick the best teams and the best matchups, because trust me, you don't want to watch the last place Atlanta Braves take on the last place St. Louis Cardinals. You may be the world's biggest Cardinal fan, but 220 and 45 teams just don't make for compelling television or compelling streaming. Would you watch it? Maybe if you were a Cardinal fan and you were a fan of George Hendrick or Lou Brock or whatever, but if you're trying to grab average sports viewer there, that's really not what you want to go do. You can spend, like I said, almost no money, or you can spend, I've got a couple thousand sunk into this setup between a computer that can handle live streaming on Twitch, and the microphone, and the webcam, and monitor number 2, which I'm now looking over at so I can see myself. I've turned this into a production, and the less you know about, the more I can keep up that illusion that you're actually watching something instead of just something produced from, let's be honest here, this is my bedroom, for crying out loud. You see pillows and blankets and stuff over there. This is not the most glamorous setting in the world, but it's my job to make sure, or try to ensure, that you are immersed in whatever it is that I'm trying to present to you. So, again, make sure that when you do record, that you're telling a story that you want to tell. You become the storyteller. A good replay, whether it's a short one or a long one, really kind of comes across as a work of fiction. If you're pounding out on your keyboard a story, Ron and Sarah went up the hill to get a drink of water. Ron fell down because Sarah shoved him down. She called Geico and saved 20% on her auto insurance and got a drink. Well, Ron had cold french fries. You know, that sort of thing, okay? Yeah, that's a jokey kind of story, but that's what you should be working toward. As I've got some sort of bug flying around in here. Oh my God, you are big. The cat is going to have a conniption fit when she sees that. Yep, in fact, she has seen it. Get down! Well, let's see if I have a monitor. Don't do that. The cat did see the bug, and that may be a more interesting story. What was I saying? This is where I should have paused. So, make sure that you always are interested in what you're talking about and try to convey that to it. You don't need to choke people with statistics. I give them for the game. I tell people when the starters last pitch and what they did against that. But in the middle of the game, you don't need to say, well, Ronnie Say went 4 for 10 against Phil Niekro in real life in 1978, and in the replay, he's 2 for 16. He just, that's not really compelling as far as I'm concerned. Set up the game and then play the game and let the game dictate what the story is. For football games, if I'm doing a one-off or a replay, I will do, yes, I know, you're excited, I will do research on what the game was that was played. It's such a short season anyway that context is important. I want to know how to play the Dallas Cowboys of a given year, who I should be focusing on, who are the big names on defense, what is my quarterback going to do, how can I win the game. I play both offenses. That's just how I play it. You can play whatever it is you want. Al, Red Sox fan, plays both sides, and Al becomes the show as he plays on defense and always takes the lower seeded team. It makes it more difficult to win. He turns it into a very entertaining broadcast, and that people tune in for Al. I'm not sure how many people tune in to watch the Jets and the Cowboys from 1972. They tune in for Al, and Al has a good time with it. There's nothing wrong with what Al does. If you like to be excited, if you're one of those people who sits on the couch and screams at the TV, I mean that's the style. I go for more of a neutral approach. I do research on the teams. I want to know how to play these teams correctly. I'm going to be as surprised as you what's going on, and because I know the game engine of what I'm playing, I kind of have a sense of what's going to happen once a game starts, but not always. Not always. Be yourself. There is nothing wrong with yelling and screaming and all that as long as you're not turning people off. There's nothing wrong with calling a game down the middle. Once you feel comfortable in doing that, if you do want to go live, there certainly is nothing wrong with interacting with people as you stream. It gives you a sense of what people want. It makes them feel like they are involved in your streaming efforts. And sometimes they can provide quite good information. Other times they could just be genuine pains in the tushy. But that's very rare. That's very rare. I have very good people. And so it makes for a more interactive broadcast. And certainly that works for baseball, which is much more relaxed anyway. So to sum up, start with something slow and small. Dave Gardner, my dear friend, does one-offs. And that's what he likes. He likes to relax with a one-off project, and when it's done, it's done. There's no part 2, there's no part 4, there's no next week we'll be playing the Mets and the Cardinals or anything like that. It's just, okay, here's something I'm interested in, I'm going to present it to you, these are names I know, these are names you know, let's going to have some fun for the next hour and a half. Don't feel like you've got to be like public broadcasting and do a 75-part series, okay? Because if it doesn't go very well for you, whether you have technical difficulties or Wi-Fi difficulties, especially when you live stream, you don't do it off Wi-Fi. You plug that you hardwire into your computer. Don't set yourself up to fail for a project, because the next time around it becomes easier to bail out of it. I've had projects that have not gone well, changed projects on the fly, the software failed. My 86 football replay, the Dallas Cowboys morphed into the Atlanta Falcons. And then I had to screw things up because not everything exported. And so we ended up changing that one along the way, and it just, for me, that wasn't real enjoyable. But we finished it, and the Patriots won the Super Bowl, and they did not cheat. So don't worry about spending money right off the bat. Don't worry about how your voice sounds. Stick with projects that you feel passionate about, and early on stick with one project. If you want to bounce around to different sports, then I recommend the Dave Gardner school of that. One-offs, perfect. Doesn't really matter what it is. First game you went to, what would happen if the 27 Yankees faced the 1962 Mets, anything like that will work. Just a one-off. If there's a season you feel passionate about, do an All-Star game, do a World Series, do an NBA Finals, do the conference championships in the Super Bowl, just to get used to the concept. Know how to play the games and understand that it takes longer to, as I said in the beginning, longer to play the game than online than it does to actually play the game when you're just in your easy chair doing it. It takes me about a half hour to play an action PC baseball game if I'm not streaming it. It takes about an hour to do it live. Football, 40 minutes if it's just me, myself, and I, not even recording. An hour and a half to go live. Round of golf on Action PC, 20 minutes. Round of golf on tape, an hour. And you've got to fill that time. That's the other thing. You've got to mostly entertain yourself, which is why baseball's good, because you can tell other stories and that. So hopefully that gets in the door and your feet wet. You're not going to have a lot of watchers. People are not going to pay a lot of attention, and the time that people will spend watching will be very limited. Don't get frustrated by that. Also, go back and watch your streams. Find out what you did right. Find out what you did wrong. You're not in competition with anybody. If your passion is the 1954 Washington Senators, no one else is going to be doing a 1954 Washington Senators replay. If your passion is the California Golden Seals, only a couple of you will be doing that, but really no one's going to do that on a regular basis. So it's not like I can't do the 1978 Montreal Canadiens because 5 other people are doing that. Well, they may be doing it at home, but they're not doing it to stream. It takes a lot more to do this than it actually does to play the game. And so once you get used to it, once you get comfortable with it, then you can go through and say, okay, what equipment do I need? Do I want to go live? Live is fun. Live is a lot of fun, but I wouldn't suggest it right from the start. Because A, no one's going to watch, and B, you're going to be nervous, and someone's going to pick on you and say, I shouldn't have pinch hit that batter right there. He was 2 for 2. What were you doing that for? You know, you get second guessed all the time. That's the nature of the beast. People are watching literally over your shoulder as I'm watching a bug fly by. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun night. Watching them over your shoulder as you play the game, and they want to feel like they're part of it, which is another reason why tape is good for starters, because some people like backseat drivers and some people don't, and I guess I'm kind of indifferent towards it. If it's, I'll listen, but it's my game. It's my presentation. You're not sitting there, well, maybe we all sat there and screamed at Tommy Lasorda or Jimmy Johnson, no, you're good. Or Barry Switzer when he went for it in 93 against the Eagles twice in the pouring rain on 3rd and 4th and 1. You throw the football, you putz. There you go. So that's, I guess, a beginning thing. Do something you're comfortable with. Find something that is easy to show that people can follow along. Don't make people think. And then develop into whatever personality that you want. But always, always, always be yourself. The reason why it works for Al Red Sox fan is that's him. That's his natural personality. I'm not much different from what you see there. I like just kind of shooting the poop with people and having a good time entertaining you for an hour at a time. That's what I like to do, and hope that we can bring you just a little bit of joy and entertainment. Don't take it too seriously. Yes, this is my job. I get paid for this. I get money through Patreon, and I get money because I stream live on Twitch. I can't retire on it, but I can actually get, you know, a couple of cups of coffee a month. I actually make more doing this than I did as a sports writer. Isn't that scary? But for if you're just starting out, just like I said, do something that you're going to have fun with. Show something that people can see and follow along right away. If you want to do cards and dice, make sure people can read the cards, because once you roll the dice, the first thing I do is I'm looking up and down the card to see what it is before you can figure it out. Again, baseball demos. Al Red Sox fan, once you go to scoreboard, baseball demos in my mind is the best cards and dice streamer, because you can see the cards. He's shooting it on a cell phone. You get a very pretty picture on your cell phone, and you can see his score sheet. So you can look over on the right and see what the score is, who's playing, and follow along. In baseball, Dave Demos, who's the master of puns, is a very good commentator. He's very easygoing, very relaxed, and knows how to move things along. Al Red Sox fan, now that he's got the scoreboard thing attached to him, to his streams, you know it's there. And, of course, Al is the show. Al is the show. There are a lot of other good streamers out there. But if you really want to show off the card and dice game, those demos would be the one that I would recommend the most. See how he does it? Like I said, he does it all on tape, and he does it all on his cell phone. And so that's the only equipment that you really need to start. That and a YouTube account, that would help too. And so that's that. And of course, you can watch Dave's stuff and my stuff. And Dave Little is how you should do basketball and all that. Well, hopefully I haven't bored you too much over the last 25 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. I promise, those baseball games are already up on YouTube. I just need to take the time to repackage them and put them up. But you can watch me Tuesday through Friday live at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific on Twitch for baseball every day. Sunday nights and Sundays at noon, and Monday nights at 7:30, and other times. So if you're waiting for my stuff on YouTube, it's a couple weeks behind at least. twitch.tv/Retro Sports Network. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.